Hello dear students, welcome back. Today we are going to take up the second and the last part of chapter number 4, heat. In the previous class we have learned about the first part of this chapter, in that we discussed about the different types of thermometer and how the thermometers are used to measure the temperature of the human body as well as the temperature of different non-living objects. Today, we are going to take up about the transferring of the heat energy from one object to another and what are the different processes that are used during the process of transferring the heat energy. So first, let us take up the transfer of heat. The heat energy is transferred from a hot area to a cold area. That means for the transferring of heat energy, the temperature of two different places or two different objects should be different. The process of transferring heat energy takes place by the help of three different processes. They are: number one, conduction; number two, convection; and number three is radiation. So now let us see one by one what is conduction, what is convection, and what is radiation, and how these three different processes are performed by different type of medium. So first, now let us take up the conduction process. Conduction is the process of transferring the heat energy from one place to another without the movement of the particles present in the substance. When we say about the substance, all the substances that are present in the nature, doesn't matter whether it's a solid, liquid or a gas, they contain small particles. So, in case of the conduction, the transferring of the heat energy is done without the movement of the particles. Means the particles will be present at its original position, while the heat that is absorbed by one particle, it will be transferred to the other without moving. Such type of process is performed by the solid materials, in which the particles present in them, they are tightly packed and they are in contact with one another. The process of conduction cannot be performed by a liquid or a gaseous substance, because in case of the liquid and the gas, the particles, they are far apart from one another. So without the movement of the particles, the heat energy cannot be transferred in case of the liquid and in case of the gas. Due to that reason, we say that conduction can be performed only by the solid substances. The solid substances present in the nature, they are also divided into different types depending upon whether they are able to transfer the heat energy through them or not. So depending upon that, the solid substances, they are divided into two types. The first one is known as the conductor, and the second one is known as the insulator. Conductor are the substances which allow the passage of the heat energy through them. That means they can conduct the heat energy. While that of the insulator are the type of substance which doesn't allow the heat energy to flow through them. One example of conductor is iron, while that of the insulator is plastic. So this is about the first process of transferring of heat energy, that is conduction. Now let's come to the second process. The second process of transfer of heat energy is known as the convection. Convection is the process of transferring the heat energy by the movement of the particles. That means that one particles of a substance will absorb the heat energy and it will move to the neighboring particles and it will transfer the heat energy to them. So this process of convection is performed by the liquid and the gaseous substances, in which the particles present in them can move freely from one place to another. So the convection process is the one in which the particles move actually from its original position to transfer the heat energy. So there are many phenomena that takes place in our surrounding which is related to the convection. Now let us see some of the phenomena that takes place based on this convection process. The first phenomenon is known as the sea breeze. When we say sea breeze, it is the phenomenon of the blowing of the wind from the surface of the sea or from the water surface towards the land surface. Now let us see how the sea breeze occurs. Let us say this is a portion above the sea and this is a portion above the land surface. The sea breeze takes place during the daytime. During the daytime, the sun evenly heats up the surface of the sea as well as the land. So when the sun rays falls on the surface of the sea and the land. The surface of the sea and the land gets heated up. But the surface of the land, the surface above the land or the atmosphere above the land surface heated up more than that of the sea. It is because in case of the sea, some amount of heat energy gets absorbed and it is trapped inside the sea, inside the water present in the sea. But in case of the land, the sun rays that fall on the surface of the land, some amount of it also gets reflected. Because of that, it heats up the atmosphere above the land surface better than that of the sea surface. Due to that reason, the air particles present above the land is less than the air particles present above the sea surface, developing a difference in the pressure above the land surface and the sea surface. As there is a presence of less amount of air particles above the land surface, the atmosphere above the land surface have a low pressure. While above the sea surface, as there is a presence of more number of air particles, the atmosphere above the sea surface develops a high pressure. Because of this reason, the air particles above the sea surface starts blowing towards the land, developing sea breeze. So this is how the sea breeze is caused near the coastal area. Now let us see about the next phenomenon related to convection. The next phenomenon related to convection is the land breeze. Just like the sea breeze, the land breeze is also a type of wind that used to blow in the coastal region. But in this case, the wind will be blowing from the land surface towards the sea surface, and it happens during the night time. Let us see how the land breeze occurs. Let us say this is a portion of the land and this is a portion of the sea. So during the night time, there is no sun. So during that time, the heat energy that was trapped during the daytime by the land and the sea used to get released out in the atmosphere. As during the daytime, the land surface absorbed less amount of heat energy, the heat energy that got absorbed by the land get released out very fast. Because of that, the atmosphere above the land surface is colder than the atmosphere above the sea surface, due to which there develops a high pressure above the land surface. But in case of the sea, as more amount of heat energy was absorbed during the daytime, the heat energy that was absorbed by the sea will take longer period of time to release to the atmosphere. Because of the slow releasing of the heat energy by the sea surface, the atmosphere above the sea surface gets warmer as compared to that of the land surface. Because of which, there is a development of a low pressure above the sea surface. Because of this reason, the air particle present above the land surface, that is, the high pressure area, will be blowing towards the sea surface, which has a low pressure, and it develops a land breeze. So this is how a land breeze is caused during the night time. Now, let's come to the third type of transfer of heat energy. The third type of transfer of heat energy is known as radiation. Radiation is the process of transferring of heat energy where there is no involvement of the particles of a medium. This radiation process can take place even in the vacuum or space where there is no presence of any type of particles. So, without the help of the particles present in a medium, the heat energy got transferred in the empty space between the particles. Such type of process we call it as a radiation. So, during the winter time, when we sit near to a fire, we feel hot. So, you may also think that why only radiation, why not the convection can take place for the transferring of the heat energy from the fire near to us? It is because the air particles, after absorbing the heat energy, gets lighter and it used to move upward. So there, the movement of the particles for transferring of the heat takes place, that is convection, but it doesn't take place towards us or horizontally. It takes place vertically upward. This vertically upward movement of the air particle is because after absorbing heat energy, the air particles become light. So, how does the heat from this fire reaches our body? It is through the process of radiation. The heat energy from this fire, it passes. Let us say these are the air particles that is present in the atmosphere between us and the fire. So the heat energy from this fire used to move through the space between the particles and it reaches our body by the process of radiation. So radiation is a process through which the heat energy goes transferred without the involvement of any type of particles. So these are the three different methods of the transfer of heat energy. Now let us take up the next topic. The last topic of this chapter is about the different types of clothes that we wear in different seasons, summer and winter. There are two extreme types of seasons that we experience in one year. During the summer season, the temperature of the atmosphere is very high, while then of the winter season, the temperature of the atmosphere is very low. So because of this reason, we wear different types of clothes in summer and that of the winter. We generally used to prefer to wear cotton clothes and light colored clothes during summer. It is because during summer we sweat in a higher rate. The sweat is needed to remove out from our body so that the body temperature remains cool. Cotton, as we know, it is a good absorbent and can absorb a large amount of sweat from our body, and it helps in the evaporation of the sweat from our body. So when the sweat is removed out, some amount of heat energy from our body also gets removed out, because of which our body temperature becomes lower, and the cotton clothes helps our body temperature to remain cool. The light colored clothes that we wear in summer also helps in keeping our body cool. It is because the light colored clothes reflect most of the sunlight that falls on our body. Because of this reason, less amount of heat energy gets absorbed in our body and our body temperature doesn't increase much. So this is why we wear cotton clothes and light colored clothes during the summer season. Now let's see about the winter season. Winter is a cold season, and as we know that during the winter season we wear thick woolen clothes. So why are we wearing woolen clothes? Woolen clothes actually used to have lots of gap between the fiber that is used for making the woolen fabrics. This gap traps a large amount of air particles. The air that is present in the surrounding or in the atmosphere, they are a good insulator, means they doesn't allow the heat energy to pass through them. So when we wear woolen cloth during the winter season, the trapped air that is present in between the fiber of the woolen cloth doesn't allow the heat energy from our body to escape out in the atmosphere. That means that our body heat will remain inside our body itself. Because of this reason, it helps in increasing the temperature of our body and helps in keeping our body warm during the cold winter season. So these are the reasons why we wear different types of clothes in different seasons. So now, these are the things that we study in today's class. So in the next video class, we will come out with a new chapter. So for today, let us wind up here, dear students. Thank you.